Today's podcast is sponsored by MPB, the online pricing engine that provides the right price for any camera or lens. Get free kit pickup and get paid within days, all without leaving your home. How much could you get? Find out with a free instant quote at www.mpb.com/sell.
Hello and welcome to the AV Forums Movies podcast for Monday, the 16th of October, 2023. Tonight, I'm joined by Tom Davies.
That's me.
Simon Crust.
Nebushi Shanghai.
And Mark Costello.
Oh, just good evening, everyone.
Hasn't it got cold?
Oh, Mark's laughing now.
Not in my house.
Really?
Not in my house with the heat all on and
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
That's why you're in a t-shirt.
Yeah.
This week, another bumper edition. We're going to have Mark swiftly losing the smile on his face as he takes us through the suffering of Exorcist Believer. Simon's going to look at the other end of the spectrum with the classic Rosemary's Baby in 4K. I'm going to look at Studio Canal's release of Jim Jarmusch's Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, 4K. And we'll all, or most of us, will kind of chip in on House of Usher on Netflix. Finally, after a month-long preview. And Exorcist Believer is going to be our jumping off point for certainly the worst in this list. Our theme of the week, which is best and worst legacy sequels.
We're going to have to do some defining of terms before we
No,
have
we're
that
not.
argument.
We're not. We're just going to very loosely go.
Diving.
Anything goes. Yes.
Film. Just name any film you don't like. It's fine.
Just name a film. Yes, it'll do. Right. Let's have some comps, Mark.
Okay. Right, so we are still partnering with Peter Tyson, so you can still win a pair of Bowers & Wilkins 607S3 bookshelf speakers with Audio Quest Rocket 11 speaker cable worth a whopping £919. But that's still not enough because, yes, we're still partnering with AV.com, so you can still win a complete monitor audio and Roxanne hi-fi system worth £2,468. Wow. That includes a pair of Monitor Audio Bronze 500 floor standing speakers, a Roxanne Atessa integrated amplifier, and a visual cable pack. Both of those prizes, amazing. Get entering. But if you prefer your prizes slightly smaller and slightly shaped more like a little disc, there's still plenty on offer for you as well. And you lucky patrons can win Studio Canal's Delicatessen and U571 on 4K and Cutthroat Island on Steelbook 4K, Transformers Rise of the Beasts on 4K, plus a selection of regular boring old 1080p Blu-rays that include Cry the Beloved Country, Mortal Kombat Legends Cage Match, Justice League times RWB, whatever that is, Superheroes and Huntsman Part 2, as well as a pair of Radiance Films limited editions, Scream and Scream Again, and The Dead Mother. Breathe, as well as upcoming competitions for several more from it says here, the excellent top 10 Blu-rays for October roundup, which I wrote, but I didn't write that, which includes Second Sight's Chopper and the Ginger Snaps trilogy plus Third Window's Door. There's also a special competition from Second Sight, which will be live before Halloween. I love the mystery, Kaz. I love the mystery.
I know. It's 4K as well.
And hang on. And the big one. You can win a copy of the Warner Brothers 30 film studio collection box set on 4K Ultra HD worth £300. And for those of you watching on glorious 12p on YouTube, Kaz is showing the box as we speak.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
Hey.
It's a very nice, just to quickly take you through it, it's a very nice set. It's like the perfect starter collection. If you want to get on board with 4K, it's 30 films, lavishly put together, split into eras, like classic era, new era, and modern blockbusters. And it's just the 4K discs. So it's got a slight warning. It is a starter set for those who are coming fresh to it. So it's just 30 4K discs and a completely separate section, which has a booklet in it, and
paper.
Some cards. Yep.
It's
cards
what we
and
buy these sets for.
Yeah.
Paper.
And wait for it.
Art cards. Tell me there's an art card.
No, the best thing. Badges.
Oh, badges.
Badges.
You know what? I'm
Badges.
gonna buy this set just for the badges.
I would wear them.
You
man.
know
All
what?
of them.
You know what? I actually quite like this
That
one.
one, that's the old Dirty Harry one, isn't it?
if that was
This
in
is
red,
the Dirty Harry
no,
one.
that's the one.
It is in red. You just can't see it on the camera, but it's got the red bit around.
Oh right, oh
Nice.
excellent. In which case, that is the winner.
That's the Dirty Harry one. And
70s
strangely,
Warner Brothers logo.
yeah, strangely the badges worked for me. Anyway, it's a beautiful set. It's a competition.
It's good, man, because it's easy to remember, isn't it? Because we're all in a bit of a 4K bubble, aren't we? Like, we're all just like,
We've got them all.
Yeah. But looking at disc sales figures kind of tells the real truth, which is most people aren't. So if you're not, then maybe.
Yes. So I think if you haven't started off with 4K, or if you've got into 4K but you've just been picking up like new releases, it's a really good way of like getting yourself jump starting that with a whole bunch of classics. I mean, there are lots of films in
Good
here.
titles.
Yeah, some good stuff in that set.
If anyone wants to send me a free
covered.
one, I will shill for it. I don't mind.
I just want the badges. Or just badge.
Yeah.
You can't have that badge.
Oh,
You can't have that badge.
look! You see, you shouldn't have shown the fact that the badges are in it. You could
I
have
just wanted to show you the Dirty Harry badge.
You could have just taken the badges out, divvied it up between us, and the winner would have just got the discs and been happy with it.
Yeah,
Would
honestly,
never have
Kaz.
known.
Schoolboy error. Anyway, look, right, that's brilliant. I haven't finished yet. So head over to avforums.com/competition. Look, you'd be stuffed if we didn't have this bit, So head over to avforums.com/competitions to enter. All competitions are open to eligible AV Forums members resident in the UK. So everyone, there are some banging prizes there. Get entering right now.
There are some good prizes in there.
Right, back to you, Mr. Harlow.
Yeah, we've had a whole bunch of winners. Supporter Magic Candle won The Ship That Died of Shame on Blu-ray. Supporter Chester won Fast X on 4K. Sorry about that. Supporter Mark 478 won The Antichrist on Blu-ray. Supporter Captain Eyecatch won Crimes of the Future limited edition 4K box set that I was very sad to part with.
Nice.
Star supporter Count Jedi won the complete Succession box set, which is still in the house and is ridiculously big. Star supporter Reg Tastical won an It Follows limited edition 4K set. I'm sorry, that might not make it out of the house. Star supporter George L78 also won an Asteroid City limited edition Blu-ray bundle, which is the craziest thing. It's like Wes Anderson designed the bundle himself. It's a martini glass, Asteroid City martini glass, a book which is like a parody of Asteroid City. It's like a fake book about explosions in the desert, and some soap, alien style soap, and of course the film.
Perhaps you shouldn't have said
Do
the soap.
aliens
You could have
use
divvied
soap?
the soap up between us.
Oh, man.
One of them's green. One of them's green. It's
Lord
like
knows we need it.
radioactive green. New patrons: Andrew Karuna Luff, TJ Slideman, Captain Eyecatch, who's already won something, so I really don't need to sell you. Adrian Price and Maison 27091. Thank you very much to all of you, and as you can guess,
Welcome.
already won stuff that I think you know what's in store for you. And bought us a cup of coffee. Greg Andrews. I don't know where it is. I could really do with a coffee right now, but thank you very much for the virtual coffee. Right, let's have some movie news and reviews. Right, as you could only expect, given everything that's still going on with the strikes, there's still not a great deal at the cinema. But out of everything that we could have seen, which involved a belated journey to like Equalizer 3, we sent Mark out to the cinema to see Exorcist Believer, and he hasn't forgiven us. I can see he hasn't forgiven us, but he has inspired us to talk about, good legacy sequels, because this wasn't one, was it, Mark?
No. One of the best word. Mr. Harlow, you utter swine. Okay, look, so I've got to come at this objectively, although if you think about any form of criticism, there is no objectivity in criticism whatsoever. What I am going to try but I'm going to try with this. It is perfectly plausible that someone may come to The Exorcist, Believer, watch it.
Believer.
Yes. Yes. Watch it and come away feeling, well, that was all right. It did exactly what it said on the tin. There was an exorcism. Some people may have believed stuff, so job's a good one. And as David Gordon Green showed with Halloween, he can put together a film, start, middle, end. It's handsome to look at. It's shot nicely. He's got a good cast that do all right. He ticks off all the usual stuff. Yes, get all the iconography in there. Tick. Oh, drop Tubular Bells in there. There we go. Let's bring one or two old faces back, for the olds. And he gets all the relevant scares and all the typical modern guff that goes with a Blumhouse produced horror, for it is they that are behind this. So it is perfectly possible that someone may come away and go, what were you talking about, Costello? However, it is also possible that a few people out there may have seen a little film that's now celebrating 50 years called The Exorcist. And if you have seen that, this is an abomination, quite frankly, right? It is. I think I did some research and I tried to find how many films have exorcism or exorcist in the title or are about demonic possession. Forget it. ChatGPT is not that advanced and it can tell us that. But it can tell us that there are 126 films with either exorcism or exorcist in the title. 2 of those were from before 1973. All the rest are after 1973. So you can imagine we're living in an age where the exorcism film is the new zombie film. We're reaching saturation point here. Every exorcism film that you can go out to iTunes or on your Shudder or on your any VOD platform, and you can just type in exorcism, and my God, you'll be able to pick one that has all the same beats in. There's a small child. They go out to the woods. They come back in a slightly grumpy mood. And bang, they're spewing green vomit and talking in strange voices. And they're floating and all that kind of stuff. And that's it. And sadly, that is what David Gordon Green has delivered here. He has delivered a bog standard exorcism movie. Not an exorcist movie. He has delivered an exorcism movie. Now, I can kind of understand why. He got crucified for his last 2 Halloween films. Absolutely roisted by the fan base because he dared to try and do something different with the beloved franchise and the classic character. So you can kind of understand why he's come to this and gone, right, I'll show those buggers. They want an exorcism film? Right, I'll give them an exorcism film. And that's what he's delivered. But man, it's so disappointing. I mean, say what you like about literally all the other Exorcist sequels. They all tried to do something. We'll come back to Rennie Harlin. But they all tried to do something. They really did. John Borman just basically fed everyone in the cast drugs and let them go nuts. It's basically the Apocalypse Now of exorcism movies. But it's got some really interesting stuff in there about... how do I phrase this?
Mark is about to say that Heretic is good, actually.
No,
Wait
I'm not.
for it.
No, I'm not. But I appreciated there was some really good visuals. I mean, all that locust stuff in Africa with James Earl Jones and all stuff like that. It was arresting, not good, but it was arresting. Now, Exorcist 3, I think all of us who've seen it, which will be everyone bar Kaz, because he's a big scaredy wuss. Everyone will agree that Exorcist 3 is a good sequel. It's good.
I think I've seen the third one. The third one's
George C. Scott.
Yes.
Yeah, you've seen that.
You
So it's a
made
good
me
sequel.
see it. Yeah, it's great.
The power of Christ compelled you. No. But it brought the characters back. It brought Kinderman back, and it tried to do something about bringing it forward into a modern age. Again, not wholly successful, but it was a really solid film. All right, then we have the Schrader Harlan debacle. But I watched both of these last year, and Schrader at least again tried to do something different. He tried to look back into Merrin's past. He tried to equate a lot of stuff with faith, colonialism, war, and all that. And it was unsuccessful because well, frankly, it was a Paul Schrader movie. So it was, let's talk a lot about things and let's muse while we're stroking our chins an awful lot about stuff while we're all full of horrible self-loathing and toxic masculinity. So it was a typical Schrader movie. So, of course, that got taken off him. Rennie Harlin got the hospital passes of all hospital passes here. Make something we can release out of this, you big bearded Finn. Look at that. And it's no wonder what he turned out was something that wasn't exactly fit for purpose, shall we say. But if you take out the Harlin thing, I will gladly watch any one of those Exorcist sequels, even The Heretic, over going to see Believer again, because there was nothing that had any character. I mean, there was so many, I don't want to say mistakes, because I'm sure there'll be people steeped in exorcism, the Exorcist lore that will prove otherwise. But it felt so lazy in so much of its narrative. You've all seen Chris McNeil comes back, so Ellen Burstyn comes back. In it, she comes back because she's written a world famous book about the exorcism and about her travails at the hands of Pazuzu, which is really interesting because all the way through the first film, she was desperate to try and not share it with anyone, not let anyone know. But now she's gone and written a book and sold her soul about it. So, little things like that, little things where in the book, the bit in the scene, there's a picture of where on Regan's body, the words "help me" came up. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, that's really interesting because Ellen Burstyn wasn't in the room when that happened and there was no camera. So there's some real lazy crap like that, which feels like it's been shoehorned in to be nothing but a nod back to the original film. And it's that galls. It's what annoyed me about Scream 5. It was almost all fan service. It forgot to be anything in its own right. And that's what this did. It forgot to be a film on its own. It was too busy being a generic exorcism film while trying to tick all the Exorcist iconography boxes. And for me, it was horribly disappointing. Others, I'm sure, will come to it. Lazy Friday Night. Yeah, it did what it said on the tin. Not me, I'm afraid.
I don't know whether they will, Mark. I don't think that the results of the critical assessment of this movie or the audience assessment have been in any way positive. But it's doing gangbusters at the box office because there's nothing else to watch.
And they're hoping for 3, aren't they? The idea is that there's going to be 3. So I don't know what they're going to do in the middle part, but I'm really hoping that the end part is where Father Amorth, so like Russell Crowe, comes in and has to exorcise Father Karras from a young girl. That is, if that happens, I'm in, man.
J.J. Abrams is coming back to write it as we speak.
Beautiful.
Only if someone screws up the middle part or does something wildly different with the middle part.
Well, it depends on the scuttlebutt rumors, don't you? There's all these rumors flying around that Universal paid $400 million for the rights to basically make Exorcist films. Now, on that level of investment, they ain't going to walk away from that. But what's interesting is David Gordon Green has come out and said, yeah, I might not direct the second and third ones. Yeah, no shit, mate. Really?
It's just bonkers, though, because who goes like, we're going to resurrect a horror franchise for a sequel? Who are we going to give it to? Somebody who's got really good track record with resurrecting horror franchises for a trilogy. Not David Gordon Green.
No, it's like I say, I feel bad because I am absolutely crapping all over this because this is my church. This is my jam here.
We say all of this, but did the Halloween films, the Halloween trilogy, do badly at the box office?
The first one did all right, didn't it?
Do you know what? I don't know.
Off pretty quick after that.
Did it really? Critically, sure, but did it do badly at the box office? I mean, they're not expensive to make. He made 3 successful films.
But what's really interesting is if you watch the first Halloween is the one that is closest to the original, and you could almost argue it's the perfect. It's the requel. It's the remake sequel.
Except it's a requel because it's like a remake of Halloween H20.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, it is, but it cheats. It cheats because it says H2O doesn't exist. So, that's the film, not water. So I know I've crapped all over this film. And
tell people not to go and see it. Don't hold back, or you're fueling the other two films in this trilogy.
yeah, all right then. Kaz has convinced me. No one go and see it. It's terrible.
Yeah. Next up,
I've just read up on the spoilers, and that'll do me. I never read up on spoilers, but for this one, I was like, I'm not going to go watch it. I just want to find out what happens in it. And I was very shocked to find out that spoiler gets their spoilers spoiled. So.
So there you go.
So many spoilerings are inserted into spoilerings. Oh my word! I tell you. No, but even that, and Tom, let's not go into details. But I bet there's not a huge amount to spoil, is there? Really?
Oh, it didn't seem like it.
No,
it didn't seem like it.
Apart from possibly the most cynical nostalgia grab committed to, well, I was going to say committed to film probably this year, because they do it all the time.
This year, this month.
Yeah. There's it ends on a very cynical note. A very cynical note. Bad taste in mouth. Blech. Pea green vomit. Blech.
Two, from what I read about it, dumbly, openly, stupidly political, like the most blunt message that you could possibly hope for.
And even that was just buried, because it wasn't about it. It tries to be about the message, but then it just realizes, oh no, people come to the Exorcist movie to see the exorcism, so let's shock and awe. Come on, levitations and head spins, and it's like, no, you didn't understand it. Where's Mark Kermode to tell you what it's all about when you need him? Honestly. By the way, watch his rant about it, because that's very funny. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Don't go see it. It's terrible.
right. Next up, we're going to talk 4K discs.
If you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave us a rating on your podcast app. We invite you to email questions and feedback to podcast@avforums.com and join in with this episode's discussion thread in the podcasts forum at AV Forums.
Right, so now Mark is going to quickly shout out to his excellent top 10 Blu-ray rundown, which went live last week. It's not only a typically fabulously written series of comprehensive reviews, but it's also pulled from one of the broadest pools of discs I think we've ever had available since we started running these top 10 articles. Like a real broad spectrum with new support from the likes of Third Window Films, 88 Films, and Radiance. So yeah, it's a nice. We had a nice thing. I mean, we're going to have more going forward, but it's a nice selection.
Yeah, it's excellent. So go read the article. I mean, what I'm trying to do with these articles is bring some of the lesser known films to people's attention, because there are some real gems getting thrown out on discs. And there's just two I want to bring people's attention to now. The first is 1988's Door. It's a very little known Japanese, it's a borderline Japanese giallo / home invasion film that's got a lot to say about how commercialism was sending Japan in that time. These high rises going up, young families getting isolated, getting preyed on by salespeople. And this just turns into a full-on Argento-esque gonzo body horror, stabathon, spurtathon, gushathon in its final act. It's great. So give that a go. And the other one I wanted to draw attention to is a British film called Little Bone Lodge. So it's brand new, easily dismissed because it's the new film from the director of Cockneys versus Zombies, which ain't going to sell it to many, I'll be honest. But what it is actually a nice little riff on the likes of Don't Breathe. Very British, quintessentially British, isolated farmhouse. Jolie Richardson caring for a disabled husband and a very lonely teenage girl. A couple of crims stumble into her farmhouse one night with a case of stolen money, and you think you know where it's going to go from there. Yeah, you don't know where it's going to go. It goes properly nuts in its final act. And it just came out of nowhere. And it's one of those films that you could very easily overlook. Do you need to buy the disc? Well, it's a good disc. It's lots of good extras on it. But it's the one, if you stumble upon this on a streaming platform, you'd love it. It would be your new favorite streaming film. So I just want to call out those two little films. But yeah, please do go check out the list. And like we said, please comment in the threads. Any films we're missing, we're not starting to talk about in there, please let us know, because there's so many discs coming out each month. We can only pick 10. And next month, Kaz has already given me 11 Coffin Joe films to review. So yeah, so next month, all Coffin Joe all the time. Thanks, Kaz.
You saying Jolie Richardson caring for her disabled husband put me in mind of a very different film there, Mark, which if you know, you know.
You know, I saw the trailer for Little Bone Lodge, and I just immediately thought Mark is going to love this.
Yes,
I watched it ages ago when it was up for, I think, a digital release or so. I saw the trailer and I thought
it was good. It's not going to win any awards.
But this is still your jam.
It's a really solid little thriller that just goes to some really icky places, and you go, "Oh, I appreciate that."
And I have to say, I was quite interested in Door. More so maybe Door 2, because in Mark's write-up, so this package from Third Window, it has Door, but as an extra, it's got Door 2, the sequel, with a different cast. But in it, Mark says it's somewhere along the lines of like Jade meets Basic Instinct. You had me at Jade. I was like, I got to hunt this down. It's very nice.
68 minutes. It's like an extended episode of the Red Shoe Diaries. Honestly, God, it's wow. a little bit saucy.
That's a callback.
It's a little bit saucy. I have expected the comedy to pop up in the background at one point. Anyway, moving on from all this sexy talk.
Tell us what's out on 4K.
So yes, in the UK, Warner Brothers, as we have just seen, continue to milk their back catalogue for the Century, but at least there's still some bangers left in the locker. Harrison Ford classic The Fugitive is coming on the 20th of November, while Spielberg's The Color Purple is coming out a fortnight after on the 4th of December. Disney are bringing out Indiana Jones and the Dial of Disappointment in one of the laziest and most horribly package releases I've seen in a dog's age around the first week of December. Not yet officially announced for the UK, but it has been for the States, so we can expect it around the similar time. Studio Canal, here's one for Sai, I should say. Studio Canal have announced Peeping Tom, the 29th of January in a full-on 4K restoration. Come on. And Kaz has already reviewed the Super Duper edition, but Eureka are bringing a standard release of their Police Story trilogy out on December the 4th, which is nice.
Oh, neat. I'll have those.
It's good. Now over to the but. More exciting things are happening across the water. Face Off. Yes, for it is that. Is finally coming from Kino Lorber on December the 12th. Hallelujah. Can we all grab that choir singer's bottom like Nicolas Cage does and give it an amen?
Not to derail, but have you seen the cover for it? It's not super attractive.
Boo. Well, that has derailed it. Thanks. Well, because we were talking about this on the last poddy, Shout Factory have indeed confirmed JFK for the 19th of December, which is good. Sony have confirmed The Equalizer 3. That will arrive in all its sun-drenched Italian finery on November the 14th, and at some point in December in the UK, I believe. However, just today, just a few hours ago, Criterion dropped not one, not two, but 3 bombs in their January release slate. Lone Star, fantastic John Sayles noir western. Blood Simple, the Coens' excellent noir, and The Daddy, Train Spotting, all in 4K coming from Criterion in January. Oh, that's going to be
an get a legacy sequel.
It did, and it's no wonder we didn't mention it in our discussions. Anyway, moving on. The other thing we've talked about is Paramount have, remember I had a little rant about their Paramount Scares Volume 1 collection and their mystery title that they were keeping well under wraps. Sadly, it has been revealed. It is the Tim Burton sing-along Sweeney Todd. So get those pre-orders cancelled immediately. However, don't sack off Paramount just yet, because just move those pre-orders over to their late 90s teen banger Varsity Blues. Oh, yes. Fans of Paul Walker, James Van Der Beek, and Whipped Cream. You'll know what I mean. That is coming on January the 9th. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's amazing. And finally, I normally end on a rant. This is less of a rant, but it's more of a warning.
It's still a rant.
It's not a rant. It's
It is still a rant.
It is. It's a continuing rant.
Well, yes. It's a legacy sequel rant, if you will. Just a few weeks ago, we were talking about the sad demise of the last voyage of the Demeter over here. It hadn't been released at all. Kaz had seen a US digital version, but it was nowhere to be seen in the release slates over here. Well, guess what? Over in the US, it's popping out on disc. It's literally popping out on disc this week, but at 1080p only. That's right. No 4K, 1080p only. Now, remember, this is from Universal. They released Megan, 1080p only, and then 6 months later, they got a 4K. So I will bet my house the last Voyage of the Demeter will get a later 4K release within the next 6 months. So my advice, don't go and buy this now. Just hold fire. Try and wait, because I guarantee there'll be a 4K release of this. See, this is what you make us do, Universal, you swines.
I'm going to take that bet because I like any chance of winning Mark's house. I'm in.
And some of those disposably.
Yeah, are they included?
No,
discs
no,
That's the house. The bricks and mortar, no
the
discs.
mortar, the family, you can have them all, but you're not having the discs.
Do you have any badges? Do you have some badges?
I do. I have 2 badges.
Okay.
We're not having them.
Okay,
Right,
we're in the
done.
drum kit. Okay.
Yes, you can have that. Right, done. What are we talking about next, Kaz?
Si's going to tell us about something good to
Please.
cheer us all up.
Si.
Rosemary's Baby in 4K.
Is there an ident, or am I talking about it now?
No, you're talking about it right now. This
Oh, right.
second.
Oh, the way you
Right
introduced
this
that.
precise
The way you
second.
introduced
It
was if there was going to.
I'm with you, Si. It sounded like we were going to run an ident for that. Have we got a Rosemary's Baby ident?
We don't have a
We
Rosemary's
need one.
Baby.
We
Well,
should
we're
have one.
advertising. Like, I don't know, what would we advertise if we were?
Satanism.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a great advert. It's like run an ident for Satanism, and here we're
Don't
back.
forget
with it.
to come along to avforums.com and read the Rosemary's Baby review.
There we go, and we're
There
back.
we go.
So,
And we're back.
now. Simon's going to
Rosemary's
review
Baby.
Rosemary's Baby.
Yes, here we go. Right. Okay, so Rosemary's Baby. Now, where are we? Let's wind the clock back 55 years, because that's when this was released. Can you believe that? Actually, a year older than me. Yes, so there we go. 1968, Roman Polanski, his first Hollywood film. He had nothing to do with the Hollywood machine. He didn't really know how to work within Hollywood at that time. And that was a real boom, because he churned out something that was absolutely remarkable for its time. And it's remarkable because bugger all happens during the film. It's quite remarkable, but it's shot through with unease. It's a dreadful, dreadful film, because all the way through you're going, no, this can't be happening. No, this is horrible. Oh my God, this is no. Oh no, that's okay. Doesn't it? Oh my God, no, it's horrible. Oh, what's going on? And you get that from the first frame all the way through, right until that horrible last scene when Rosemary, who has gone through quite literally hell and back, and she walks back into hell. It's a remarkable film, absolutely remarkable. And it sort of created a genre all for itself. I mean, without Rosemary's Baby, you wouldn't have The Exorcist. You wouldn't have all the dreadful horror ghosty type Satanist films. They don't exist. They just wouldn't happen, because Polanski did something quite extraordinary. He created a genre for cinema, which still exists today, and it's that's what makes this film quite so remarkable. I love it. And Paramount have done a pretty good job with this disc. It's difficult to find the full details of exactly what's gone on with it, but it looks like it's certainly a native 4K scan. And it's been treated very, very well. There's a tremendous amount of detail going on, right from the close-up skin detail, the painters they're painting poor old Mia, on that raft as it floats out in her dream. There's some terrific colouring as well. It's Dolby Vision, and you've got some fantastic colouring there. The gaudy 60s clothing that they wear. There's not a lot of red in it. It's quite yellow and green, the film, but when the red comes out, it really punches you in the face. So when you get I tell you what really stood out for me in the first part of the dream part, she's sort of floating through, and it's you see it later in the film. It's she's going through, and there's a big fiery type flames going on in the background as she's floating by. Spoiler alert, it's actually as she's being transported from her apartment to the neighbor's apartment, and there's that picture on the wall which is of a flaming barn. That's the picture that you see, and it's a light and flaming, and it looks extraordinary because there's a fantastic black level as well. Very, very nice picture. I was very, very impressed with it. It's cleaned up very well. There's a nice sheen of grain throughout. It's got a fairly good filmic tone to it. Not a perfect picture, but pretty close. Soundtrack, you've got a what is it, LPCM 2 mono. That's what it is, 2-channel mono. And that's pretty good as well. You're not going to expect any bells and whistles from something like that, but it is gets its information across very, very well. So you've got the dialogue, which is a very dialogue-heavy film, so that's nice, clear, and precise. And you've got all the effects that come, like the outside horns and the street noises and bits and bobs like that, are nicely well layered. And of course, the score as well, that comes in very, very well, and it plays very, very nicely. Sadly, for what is supposed to be a 55-year anniversary edition disc, they've put bugger else on it. There's no new extras at all. It's old legacy stuff, which is, a bit, Anyway, what can you do? It's certainly worth getting for the film, though. It's a tremendous film. But as a set, I think I marked it down a little bit because it could have been better. Certainly as a 55-year anniversary. If they'd just released it without that banner on it, it probably would have scored a little bit higher. But because it had this anniversary thing on it, I said, nah, that's a bit off.
Well,
Can't remember what I scored it now.
Criterion stacked there. They put out a US disc 3 or 4 years ago, and they stacked that, didn't they? So it's possible to find stuff. And Christ, you're trying to tell me you can't find a horror director who won't want to prattle on about how good Rosemary's Baby is for an hour or two. We could have done it. They could have got us to do it.
Yeah, we could have done it. Yeah.
Paramount, call us.
Yeah, so there you go. It's a goodie.
Excellent. Definitely picking that up, Si. Excellent. Thank you for that.
Very nice. I've also had a chance to look at a disc this week. It's Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. It's easily my favorite Jim Jarmusch film.
Nah.
You just go nah, or did you go yeah?
I said snap.
Snap. I thought it was like straight away nah.
You went no.
Yeah. I was like,
You're kidding
what?
me. The Dead Don't Die. That's my favorite.
I mean, he does do eclectic. He has an eclectic resume. He does do enigmatic indie flicks across the board, crazy. Ghost Dog, I would say, is all of his movies are pretty inaccessible, and it's the most accessible of his inaccessible movies. And the only way I can describe what you're looking at, it's a combination of Way of the Samurai, Japanese musings, obnoxious near parody Italian gangsters rapping Flavor Flav, communication via passenger pigeon, interaction between characters who don't speak the same language, balletic shootouts, and a score by Wu-Tang Clan's RZA.
I'm sold.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I'm
It's so
sorry, you lost
good.
me. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Simon.
It doesn't make any sense that you could possibly fuse these things together. Somehow, I mean, you could probably say that about a lot of things that Jarmusch has done, but somehow he got it just right here. It's not only my favorite of his movies, it's one of my favorites from Forrest Whitaker, who's the lead, who's Ghost Dog, who apparently Jarmusch wouldn't have done the film without him taking the lead. He had it in mind for him to play this part, and he is tremendous. He doesn't have a line of dialogue for like the first half of the movie. He just narrates it with quotes from the Hagakure, the Way of the Samurai, and it's just genius. This guy who's like he's been born in the wrong era, wrong century, living this weird samurai code, also an assassin for the mob, and the mob, they've got their own code, or they've got their just shoot everybody code, and it's very interesting. He lives his whole life is this series of very antiquated rules, but they're strangely by Jarmusch, they're strangely integrated into the film in such a way that you can almost see their applicability. It's madness, because the rules are crazy. They're like, don't try and avoid the rain by walking under the awnings on buildings, because you just get just as wet. Just walk straight ahead with purpose. It's
step
kind
on
of
the cracks in the pavement. That kind
Don't eat yellow snow.
It's really very, very specific rules that you could almost stand alone when you're reading the book. You really have to dig deep to try and apply them. But somehow Jarmusch has taken them and put them in this movie about gangsters and hitmen and whatever the hell else it's about, and managed to bring those words to life at the same time, which is quite an achievement. And I'd forgotten just how impressive that was until this revisit. It's courtesy of Studio Canal. They've done the 4K restoration. I don't think they've messed it up at all. It was shot on a budget. It is an indie flick, but it's dripping in fine detail and texture. It's particularly evident because he's got this propensity for close-up reaction shots. Forrest Whitaker's carrier, he trains passenger pigeons, and when he finds a dead pigeon, it's like the most emotional this character gets, and it's all shot of a pigeon, shot of his face, shot of a pigeon, shot of his face, and it's very well done. But the 4K restoration is superb. It really nails down the detail, even on those close-ups, on every little bit. Deep inky black levels, even some nice pop on the street lights and the lighting around it. It's a DTS HDMA 5.1 track, but it's just pure bass. I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from Wu-Tang Clan kind of notes, but it's not really what you would expect from this movie. And his character, Ghost Dog's propensity for turning everything up to 21 when he gets in any car he's stolen is just fabulous, because you just get silence and him walking through the night and a bit of a score in the background, which is very appropriate. And then he'll get in the car and he'll just keep turning that volume knob until it's 21 and the floor is shaking. It's very nice. It's got a selection of extra features on the accompanying Blu-ray, and it's available as a standard 4K release or a limited edition steelbook 4K release. Not completely sold on the artwork of it, but it's a nice set. And who'd have ever thought Ghost Dog in 4K?
It's so brills. Like I think I'm probably just gonna go for it and buy, because I absolutely love this movie. It's so good. It's like a lot of Jarmusch's movies in that, like, it's almost funny, but this one is almost funny in a good way.
Yes.
Instead of almost funny, like, miss the mark, mate.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, absolutely love this movie. Love it. Love the futility of passing on the samurai code to a little girl. It's so
I mean, it's all I mean, Henry Silver from like Above the Law pops up in it. And he's an extremely stiff gangster, but it's superbly played. Like little things like when he hears about how he communicates by passenger pigeon, it's just, it's so absurd to these old school crime bosses, and they're played, I think, like a complete pastiche. Like they're cartoony characters, but they're also played really well. I think they nail it. Anyway, we'll be running a competition for that as well. So look out for that. For those who've not really heard of it, I'll try and get your spare disc.
Yeah.
My watch is talking to me now, but yes.
No, I'm going to check that out. I've heard of it. I've just never seen it. So I'll be
we need Ghost Dog converts across the board. That's what we need to do, Tom.
It's super brills. Go for it.
So you know what, Kaz, you need to watch The Wicker Man and we'll watch Jarmusch. There you go.
I think he's got a better deal.
Haha, I haven't got any homework.
We'll find you something, Tom. We'll find you something.
Next up, streaming and TV show news and our theme of the week, best and worst legacy sequels.
If you'd like to support the AV Forums podcast on a regular basis, then why not become a patron? Head over to patreon.com/AV Forums to sign up. You can also make a one-off donation through the Super Chat or via streamlabs.com/AV Forums. All donations help us to improve the website and the podcasts. Thank you to all our supporters.
Right, let's quickly have some TV news. Tell us a little bit about Loki. I mean, most people will be on board, but go. Go.
Oh, okay. I will just say very briefly that it so far is retaining the title of most interesting Marvel TV show. I am thoroughly enjoying it.
Since when?
Well, Loki has always been the best one, Simon. I mean, WandaVision was quite brills. But I think just for consistency, I enjoyed season 1 of Loki the best of any of them.
Okay.
But yeah, it's back, and all of the best stuff about the first season has been retained. So like the production design is still thoroughly delightful all the way through. The weird like 70s futurism is so good. And
short round.
Like Kei Kwan is in it, and he is just a delight every second that he is on screen. So that's lovely as well. I'm not going to bang on about it too much just because there's only a couple of episodes out, but the first episode was a real good reintroduction into the world of Loki. The second episode was a bit like structurally weird, like just like dumping you into the middle of a plot line which had only sort of been established, which I was not thoroughly convinced by, but was still a lot of fun, and sets up some good places for the series to go. One of the lead creative voices from the first series, Kate Herron, is not involved at all this season. So how that affects the way that it unfolds, I guess we will find out, because she was definitely one of the leading lights of the first series, and definitely one of the guiding voices that made it as like I said at the beginning, as cohesive as it was, especially in comparison to a lot of the other Marvel stuff. But in her stead, Benson and Moorhead have taken over the majority of directing duties. So that's really nice. They did a great episode in the first season, and then they did some fun stuff with Moon Knight, which was overall, I guess it was okay, but their style suits it well. Their style suits Loki well, is what I mean to say.
I can see that.
And
Excellent.
they are very clearly just having a ball with it, and as is every single member of the cast. And that's quite fun to watch. We will see if it unravels over the next 6 weeks. But yeah, so far, very enjoyable.
Excellent.
And on the flip side, I couldn't care a toss.
That's okay. That's okay, Simon. That's okay.
Hashtag not my MCU, said Si.
Right. Finally, after watching it on a preview, like a month ahead of schedule, I get to talk about Usher. And it feels almost quite anticlimactic, particularly as Si hasn't even watched it.
Not yet.
Mm.
But I've got, high
Particularly
hopes.
watching all that MCU stuff.
It's gonna be too high hopes now. But for me, it's like a fuse of American Horror Story meets Succession, very much by way of Edgar Allan Poe. Those familiar with the creator Mike Flanagan's resume will kind of know what to expect. He did the Impossible doing an impressive legacy sequel to The Shining and Doctor Sleep. He did a succession of Netflix projects, which were, I would say, more hit than miss. He did adaptation of Stephen King's Gerald's Game. He did the excellent Haunting of Hill House, and he did the very divisive follow-up Bly Manor. He did a couple of Midnights, Midnight Club and Midnight Mass. Again, one divisive, one excellent. And I mean, he's done a lot of similar-ish content, I think, in terms of what you're going to expect from him next. But even though I think that Haunting of Hill House is one of my favorites from him, it very much feels like Usher was a real magnum opus to close out his Netflix run. It's the name's taken from a specific book from Poe, but it's an 8-episode ode to everything Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, it's infused from top to bottom by anything you can imagine from Poe, from direct quotes to all of his characters and all of his stories and all of his everything is in there in some way, shape, or form. And it's really nice the way he's weaved into it. It's not just about House of Usher. In fact, House of Usher is almost just the title in comparison to everything else that gets swept up along the episodes. It's got a perpetually underrated Bruce Greenwood in the standout role. It's a pretty impressive performance from him, and it's got the perpetually seductive Carla Gugino, who is fabulous in her mystery role. Anyone can guess it straight from the first 10 minutes. I would say give it the first 2 episodes, because at the end of the second episode, something happens that will make you probably want to just continue, because it's enough to get you there. And for my money, episode 3 has just a tremendous speech from Greenwood on that'll make you reassess the phrase "making lemons out of lemonade," making lemonades out of lemon, even. But I think it's excellent. And I got Mark on board, and crazily, he watched something I recommended, and even more crazily, he watched more than 10 minutes of it. And
tootin'.
Yeah, you finished it?
Finished 20 minutes before the podcast started.
Dedication. Started it.
It's what you need if you want to be a record breaker, Kaz.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Huge Flanagan fan. I'm not a hardcore Poe fan. I know Poe through the film adaptations, but I really appreciated how clever it was weaving each one of these. The structure is quite interesting, because at times it felt very much like an anthology series.
Yeah,
this episode we're going to follow this member of the Usher family, and because each episode takes a slightly different Poe story and turns that into this narrative, they all feel quite different. So at times you're looking at an almost anthology series, but it still had a single connective narrative going all the way through it. So it was really cleverly done. There was some real good moments of proper ick in there as well. I always like a good splash of claret every now and again. It just helps you wind the day down nicely. And I really appreciated that. But ultimately, I think you're right when you said it was his magnum opus. This felt grandiose. You could look at Hill House and go, well, it was a very nice ghost story. This is what it was. But it's very well done. But this feels on another level. The cleverness of the plotting, the intricacy of weaving the stories together. And I think you're right about the cast. I think, from top to bottom, the cast are ace in it. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And trust me, I don't think I've ever said that about anything you've recommended, Ken. So,
I know, I feel you.
High praise.
Must be special indeed.
Well,
I must start that list of Seagal films you gave me.
It's particularly high praise given I'm recommending it in the horror genre.
No, it was excellent. Honestly, Kaz nailed it in his review. I thought it was great. Everyone watch it. Check it out. It's great.
And Tom, you've just started it. Not quite sold, but enjoying it. We'll watch the rest.
Yeah, I'm halfway through, and it took me a while to get into it. I think I've gone on record before as saying Flanagan's propensity to lean on a monologue doesn't really work for me a lot of the time. But there's much less of that in The Fall of the House of Usher, which I'm really pleased by. And yeah, I'm getting on quite well with it. It's the most I've enjoyed one of Mike Flanagan's adaptation things since Hill House, maybe Midnight Mass, but yeah, it's along those lines. So I'm quite enjoying it.
Nice. I'm going to give a super quick shout out because we do want to get to our theme with more than 5 minutes left to go. Stuff on streaming: The Burial, Tommy Lee Jones, Jamie Foxx, nice little underdog courtroom drama. Boiling Point returns as a TV show spin-off from the Stephen Graham movie. Fair Play, which is an excellent little psychological drama on Netflix. Survival at Sea with Nowhere on Netflix. Korean revenge actioner Ballerina on Netflix, and Bargain, which is on Paramount Plus. It's for all you Squid Game fans, another Korean survival show. So boom, there's.
Is it in Dolby Vision HDR, Kaz?
I'd take the fifth.
Oh, no sale. No sale. If it's not watching it.
Oh man. Anyway,
any torso views from the side?
Plenty. Yes, there's a lot of torsos. Our theme following Exorcist Believer, we take a look at best and worst legacy sequels. Legacy sequels, for those at home just listening, I'm doing massive air quotes just to make Tom feel better. Legacy sequels. Okay, nobody knows what it means, but we're going to say it's something.
Wikipedia does, Kaz.
Which a lot of these. No, don't do it. Don't do it.
I've got it right here.
It'll get complicated.
Oh.
Yeah, but Tom's going to say no, so we're going to go with legacy sequels, and they encompass all the films we're going to talk about today. So, for example, legacy sequels: Top Gun Maverick, Blade Runner 2049, Mad Max Fury Road. For example, they're all clear. Good examples of good stuff, not the worst. So Mark, give us your best.
Right. So as usual, I'm not going to go best and worst because that's just boring. I'm going to go favorite and most disappointing, just because I can.
Yes.
My favorite, bit left field, 2010, the year we made contact.
Very left field.
Why is that a legacy sequel? Why is that a legacy sequel?
Don't do it.
I'm very glad you asked, Tom. Because if you go to Wikipedia, you will see the definition of a legacy sequel, and I quote, is a work that follows the continuity of the original works, but takes place further along the timeline, focusing on new characters with the original ones still present in the plot.
No original characters.
No. Wikipedia. Yeah, there is. Haywood Floyd, Roy Scheider.
Okay. Yeah, Floyd, I get it. Oh, fine. Okay.
There we go. Fine. So anyway, I think 2010 probably, and I think I can speak for most people who watched it, are probably really surprised by it, because how on earth do you follow 2001? You probably can't. Well, Arthur C. Clarke did. And actually, the books after it, 2061, and was it 2084? I can't remember.
3001.
3001, that was it, with the astronaut who floated off back into space, floating back. No.
It's Floyd.
So 2010, I just thought, had no right to be as good as it did. Obviously, there was elements of it, not remaking, but revisiting the first one. The monolith is now heading to Earth. They send another spaceship out to go and see it. But obviously this time passing more comment on, well, the Cold War at the time with a joint US-Russian crew and with genuine proper film stars in Roy Scheider, Helen Mirren. I really liked it. I just thought this was going to be utter garbage, but I thought it did really well to try and not just follow the film, but go with that whole, well, this thing happened, right? We discovered, we're not alone in the universe. What would we do? What would anyone do at this? And I thought he did an absolute bang-up job. Peter Hyams directed it, did a really, really good job.
Hyams is underrated.
Hyams is great.
It does a lot with a little.
and he did just a superb job of. It obviously took place in the 2001 years, but it didn't feel like 2001. It wasn't slavishly aping the style or anything like that. I was just really surprised with how good 2010 was. So yeah, most surprising, I think. A lot of the others, the ones you mentioned there, Top Gun Maverick, Top Gun Maverick is a great legacy sequel, but I think, let's be honest, for 3 years worth of trailers, we all expected that to be ace, and it was. I think this one I had no expectations for. Unlike my worst one, which I had all the expectation in the world. And
Phantom Menace.
Believe me when I say this, I watched the trailer in my kitchen on a Friday morning and I wept. I wept when I saw the trailer for this. My God, I bawled like a small child. So imagine my disappointment when I came out of Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Mark hating on a perfectly okay movie.
Oh God, I hadn't been that disappointed. In fact, you know what? I was less disappointed coming out of Attack of the Clones, and I hated that film.
But I was
less disappointed.
Just to clarify, Mark isn't currently being sarcastic. This isn't a gag. Just to clarify.
I legit that, as Thomas quite rightly said, The Force Awakens, it looks like Star Wars. It sounds like Star Wars. There's some Star Warsy bits in it, but it remade the first film. That's all it did. I mean, the fact of the matter is, with how many years of expanded universe mythos, and what did they give us? Another Death Star, another trench run. Oh my Christ! Really, this is what another desert planet. Oh my God, this is what they've given us. So disappointed. I still
love it.
Do you know what? I will say this now. Objectively, The Rise of Skywalker is even worse, but I will watch that over The Force Awakens any day because my expectations are in the toilet for The Rise of Skywalker, and that's fine.
You give Resurgence a pass, but you point to it for Force Awakens.
God,
right,
damn you, J.J. Abrams.
Tom, best.
Hello. Oh, the one that you've written down for me.
Yes. Scorsese.
Is one that I just mentioned in passing. Like, is this a legacy sequel? The Color of Money, which is so brilliant.
It's great.
You got to say it's the best now. You got to say it's your best now.
It is the best. Like, The Hustler is unmatched. Paul Newman at his best, at the height of his powers. And then 25 years down the line, they brought him back, same character, to teach Tom Cruise how to be a hustler. And it is so good. It is gripping from start to finish. And
I think I prefer it. I think I prefer it.
And do you know what? That's totally legitimate because it is just it's so great. Scorsese took the helm to make this. Scorsese's not a sequel guy, is he? Really? No. But yeah, it's unmatched in my opinion in terms of legacy sequels.
It's one of those ones where I didn't expect them to go down that way with the young upcoming star and the old veteran. Not wholly dissimilar to, I remember when I saw Spy Game and they have Brad Pitt and Robert Redford, really old Robert Redford.
Oh man,
they got Brad Pitt at the height of his game, but it's a Robert Redford movie. And if you watch Color of Money, it's Tom Cruise. It's a Tom Cruise movie. No, it's not.
Do you know what, the
Newman movie?
The thing that it now puts me in mind of is when they did Money Never Sleeps, Wall Street 2, and you think oh man, they were going for this. This is what they wanted, and
it was.
Boy, oh boy, did they miss the mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, Color of Money. If you've not seen it, just go and see it. You're missing out. It's so good.
Great film.
And worst?
I don't know. There are so many. In general, I just really dislike the propensity to basically warm over long dead franchises. So for that reason, I'm probably going to say Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I was just going to say, I bet you're going to say Ghostbusters.
Man, I was annoyed all the way through that movie. I can't remember a single moment of that movie where I wasn't slightly annoyed. And then as the second half kicks in and they just rerun Ghostbusters 1 shot for shot almost, I was just like, why am I watching this? Like, yeah, I really, really deeply dislike that movie. And Mark, you made a bold statement in saying that you would rather watch The Rise of Skywalker over The Force Awakens. I would rather watch Ghostbusters 2016 over Afterlife.
Wow.
Wow.
2016 is fine.
You heard it here, folks.
Okay.
You heard it here. Very nice. Bloody hell. Oh, up in the game. Si, can you go more controversial? Are we getting Die Hard 2 territory here?
As what? As the best one? Well, there's only one. There is only one. Blues Brothers 2000, surely. Well, the best and the worst.
I've never seen it.
Nice.
Surely. I mean, you know.
Mic drop.
What can you say?
Thank you and good night.
Yeah.
Thank you and good night. Now, well, you know, I just that come to me as we were talking there, because you have put a list up, and I've been doing my own research on this, and I was thinking, hang on a minute, Blues Brothers 2000, that's surely got to qualify.
Definitely qualifies.
Yeah.
As which though? Both.
It's as both best and worst. I would think. I mean, if I was a little bit facetious there, I think as a best, I'd probably have to go with something like Doctor Sleep or Fury Road. They're great films. They're really, really good. And for worst, I'm going to pick anything done by Kevin Smith in the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, they're just.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing that someone who was so good has now. I don't know what's happened to the man.
He must know it's embarrassing though. But
I think he definitely, like, Clerks 3 was kind of a hint of like, isn't this weird and awkward and stupid and self-indulgent and rubbish? To which the answer is yes, it is. Why did he make this?
It is, yeah. I mean, I know he was based on the heart attack thing, but I mean, it's just cringeworthy. I don't know.
So hang on. So Ghostbusters Afterlife got a 9 out of 10 from me.
Did it?
Clark's 3 got an 8 out of 10. I'm beginning to spot something here.
Mark loves nostalgia bait.
It's a little picture of me just gradually getting smaller and smaller on the screen.
Yeah, I get that.
Fade out into nothing.
I should be worried that you liked House of Usher.
You should be. Go on, Kaz, round us out.
Well, I mean, there's no denying for me, like Maverick wasn't.
You can't say that.
It wasn't the one. It's just because Mark was saying that everyone expected Maverick to be great. I don't know whether everyone expected that for that period of time. When they announced the sequel, no one expected it to turn out the way it did. But I'm not going to say that because I'm going left field and I'm picking Tron Legacy because
he's Tron, yeah.
I don't know whether I was completely nuts about the first movie, but I was in a certain phase of my life, and then I came back to it. It was the first movie was raw and different and very very innovative. But when they came back with Tron Legacy, it was just such an experience. It was one of the first pure audio-visual experiences I'd ever encountered. You know, the Daft Punk soundtrack, the perfect matching. I mean, it was, the visuals were insane. Then you just went to cut out the effects, slow down the visuals, and put that score in, and just have someone turn a bar into a light cycle and just race off, and it just looked and sounded so amazing, and had suddenly brought this world to life in a way that, you know, if you put it side by side with the original Tron, it's like, what? This is crazy. How did we get here? It's an utter nonsense story, but it's possibly one of those examples where it really doesn't matter. You're just so involved in it.
I still listen to the soundtrack, actually. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Worst is, I mean, it's hilarious. So I couldn't get through Resurgence. I wanted to put it in there as my worst, but I couldn't get through it. Basic Instinct 2. I have to say, Basic Instinct is one of my guilty pleasure kind of those what is it, 90s?
Don't be
90s?
guilty. Don't
It
be
is-
guilty. It's
it is, it's like-
amazing.
It's Verhoeven, it's crazy, over the top, but he balances everything just right. And to do Basic Instinct 2, it just felt like a straight to video piece of shit. It's just really very bad. But I had this epiphany when I was doing Worst, and I was thinking, because someone was talking about how Michael Mann's doing Heat 2. I've read his book, his Heat 2 book.
Man, that movie is going to be terrible.
I'm telling you right now,
I can't wait.
the worst legacy sequel is going to be Heat 2. You heard it here first.
Yeah, man.
Plus, the writing in that book is spectacular. It's just everything in Heat, which was already bordering on, typically sort of man dialogue, dialed up to 11. It's really so crazy. I can't
watch. We'll watch.
No,
We'll
it's
9 out of
not.
10.
I'll send you some excerpts of the dialogue from that book. He's going to make that. He's going to ruin Heat. He's going to go back and forth. The timeline's insane. It's a prequel, sequel, midway through, everything kind of movie. It's so crazy. You got to read the book to just experience how bad a book can be. But
I was going to say, they've got some de-aging to do, but they've got a bit more work than that.
They've got a lot of work to do. Really, they could get 3 different people to play Pacino. It's
Remember when they just used to recast? Remember that? Those were the good old days, weren't they?
yeah.
Well, I remember when that was okay.
I'm sure it's still okay, but no one seems to think it is.
So
what have we learned about legacy sequels, kids? It's
Sometimes
all
they work.
about expectations. It's all about the expectations you bring to them. They can all be fine. They're all fine on one level, but it's all about those expectations you bring to each one of those.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I didn't have any expectations of Tron Legacy, and it blew me away. So, yes.
Done.
Very nice. Okay, well, I think we're there. Coming soon. Next month, we'll have made it through all 3.5 hours of Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, suffered through Liam Neeson's Retribution on Sky. Oh my God. They should get him on board for Heat 2. And like we found out,
open access review of that is quite brilliant, actually.
I really want to publish it.
Access, early
yeah,
access.
I did get a bit aggressive. Yes. We're going to check out Netflix's high-profile Chris Evans, Emily Blunt vehicle Pain Hustlers, which looks like it might kill Netflix's recent surprisingly strong winning streak.
Diet dope sick.
Yeah, it's on disc. We've got Hellraiser Quartet, which
Yay.
I say it's coming soon, but Mark published it.
It's already up now.
Yeah, and it already looks spectacular. But tell us about the packaging, Mark.
It's not standard. It's not standard.
We're gonna have an early look at Arrow's Tremors 2. Si's taking a look at that.
I watched it tonight.
Is it blue or green, that packaging? It's blue. It's the blue pack.
It's the check disc.
It's a check disc, yeah. Come in a clear.
And we'll have made a dent in this insane Warner Brothers 100th anniversary 30 film studio collection. We're missing reviews for the likes of Maltese Falcon, Rebel Without a Cause, East of Eden, Rio Bravo, Cool Hand Luke, Casablanca, Goodfellas, and The Exorcist. We come full circle. Do let us know if there's ever anything we've not covered that you think we should, and we probably won't because we cover everything we need to. That's it for the AV Forums podcast this week. My thanks to the movies team. Si.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Tom.
Love you.
And Mark.
See you, bye.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, plus hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we publish our live streams, product reviews, and more. If you really like this podcast, then buy us a cup of coffee at buymeacoffee.com/avforums. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and bookmark avforums.com for the latest reviews, news, and videos. Plus, why not leave us a 5-star rating on whichever service you use if they allow it, but only if you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Join us for another podcast soon.